YouTube. Let me test this out, make sure it's actually working before I let everybody know. Let me write this email. Talking about important aspects of a folks in the Good Life Accelerator, including the magical Harry Potter technique for keeping your for attracting great premium clients while keeping your business model simple. Okay. Okay, come join me. I'll share the link. Okay, it's working. Let's share this link. All right. Boom diggity, boom diggity, boom diggity. Join me, bring coffee. Almost there. Let me do this. Send email. I'll send it to everybody. Make sure it's working. Yes, it is. Great. Beautiful. Maybe I'll go on LinkedIn real quick too. Post it on there. I don't think anybody's watching me yet. So, sweet. Alrighty. Let's have some fun. Okay. Let me see. I want to live chat. Great. So let me clear that out. bring this down here. And hopefully this doesn't crash my computer from all the memory. Beautiful. All right. Pretty sure nobody's watching, but hey, somebody's going to listen, right? We'll have some fun. Okay. This is the Good Life Consultant Podcast. My name's Blake Stratton, and that's really what I want to be, y'all. I'm keeping this casual. When I first created podcasts, I was inspired by a podcast called Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin. He has a much better podcasty voice than me and much more famous guests, in fact. But I loved the production, the music, the interludes. So my first podcast, I had a bunch of production, and I would interview a lot of musical artists. So I would use their music or my own music and kind of weave it in and out. And it was, I was hoping, I don't know, maybe Ira Glass would be impressed or something like that. This time around, I'm probably more inspired by Bill Burr, except with fewer MeUndies advertisements and slightly less swearing. But what I liked about his podcast is he just hits record, has a few notes, and then just talks and riffs like he's just talking to you. And so if you're listening right now, don't expect a lot of edits, don't expect a lot of video zooms and whatnot if you're watching on YouTube. I'm doing this live right now on YouTube, and that's fun for me. At some point, it'll maybe have a person or two jumping into the chat to ask questions. I think that would be fun as well. But you're just getting the real stuff. And my goal is to bring you my best thinking, to bring you some encouragement, and to bring you, as much as it can happen over a podcast, a little bit of connection. I mean, let's be real. If you are a consultant, a service provider, maybe a coach like myself, and you've gone off to do your own thing, you're really making up life as you go. You factor in you're also a parent, and now you really feel like you're making it all up as you go. At least I do sometimes. And that can be really daunting because maybe you've got friends that have quote unquote normal jobs. Maybe you have parents, that are like, oh, this is how we did it, or this is how you should do it, or something like that. But it can feel lonely when you're not sure if you're if you're really doing it all correctly, or if anybody actually understands, because you likely are both the marketing team, but also the product delivery team, but also the product itself if you're in a service client-based business. So that can be a lot. And so I want to be here for you in that, whatever that looks like. So you can leave me comments, questions. People have sent me emails, and I have a community of people in a program I call Good Life Accelerator. It's really as much of a program as it is a community of people that are aligned with this value system that I have of not just accepting or reacting to our business, but actually designing our business to be congruent with our values and to be a supplement to our lifestyle, not to dominate our lifestyle. So those are the types of folks that I have in that community. If you're listening to this, you're in a part of the greater community, I guess, of people that are on this journey. And so let me know either through an email or through a comment or something like that, what it is that you do, what issues or problems that you're navigating right now. It might be totally business related, or it could be the intersection of business and life. I have a couple of kids upstairs that I love, a wife upstairs that I love. I'm here in my home office, and at any moment they could come and want to co-host this podcast with me. So you might get some of that. But there's real challenges there, both practically and emotionally and just energy wise, right? So let me know what those challenges are for you. You can also send me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the most reliable way if you're not already a client of mine to get in touch, is just send me a DM on Instagram with stuff you'd want to talk about, or people you'd want to hear from, or issues, problems, things of that nature. All right. I think I just told everyone to just dump all their problems on me on Instagram DMs, so I guess I'll buckle up for that. But let's get into it. Today, I want to bring up something that is top of mind, maybe for all of my clients right now. Not all of them, but a lot of them in Good Life Accelerator are interested in installing this framework that I call the Flex framework, which is basically a model for creating a highly flexible consulting business around your favorite, best clients, the people you love to work with, and around what you like to do in terms of delivery, what brings you the most joy, what's your strengths area, what lights you up, and to do those things while earning and funding the lifestyle that you want to have and working a more like a part-time schedule. So not working so much so that you miss out on the lifestyle that you're trying to fund, but rather have that model be flexible to your lifestyle, hence calling it the Flex framework. So that is what this group right now in Good Life Accelerator is working on. And Flex is an acronym. I've walked through it in another episode of the podcast, but where a lot of people are putting focus right now is L, which stands for leveraged offer. They have an offer. In fact, many of them have a lot of offers. And the reason they have a lot of different offers is because customization is a reactive and natural way to earn good money as a consultant. And most of my clients, maybe all of my clients, are experiencing enough where they're making good money. They have expertise that they're getting hired for, but they've gotten there through reaction. Oh my gosh, you're so good at that. Could you help me? Oh, so-and-so said you helped them with this. Could you do that for me? But also we're this type of business. And so where they land is a six-figure business that they've reacted their way into, and they're experiencing some problems like scope creep. So clients aren't fully buying into their process and they keep asking for more or asking for different things. And then the consultant ends up being really exhausted and really stressed, really frustrated. They also are experiencing a lack of marketing ability or effectiveness. And the reason is because they've reacted their way into a bunch of different offers with a bunch of different types of clients. And so they're a bit scattered. And so when it comes time to advertise or market what they do so that they can attract people to their business, it's not really effective. They're often left just talking about the mechanism, like coaching or like bookkeeping services or whatever it is. And they have to talk about that because they can't talk about that one client because they've got all these different offers for all these different kinds of people. So how can I create a marketing message that's effective? It's the only thing left to do is talk about yourself, which is inherently less interesting and doesn't tend to attract the types of clients that are eager to have your strategic insights. You know, you're more likely to attract a client that's just price shopping and wants to dictate the terms of how you use what you do for them. The other problem with offers that my clients are running into is just the confusion around pricing, around money, charging what they really want. So they could be undercharging. I would say it's almost always undercharging. But the reason that it's this undercharge or people are saying, oh, that's not in our budget, is because they don't really know how to talk about what they're doing. And so they're trying to figure out a way, well, how can I explain what I do so that they really see the value of it? I really want my clients, particularly my favorite kinds of clients, to see the value of what I do and to buy into my process. Because if they don't see the value or they don't buy in, I'm either not getting paid what I want to get paid or I'm working too many hours. And in either case, I don't have that flexible, profitable, enjoyable working experience that funds the lifestyle I want to live with my family. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to share with you as succinctly as I can, but also balance that with being helpful. how I am coaching up these clients to talk about what they do. So I use this term leveraged offer, and a leveraged offer simply means that, to define the term leverage, it's just the amount of output I get from something far outside is far greater than the input I have to put into it. So a leveraged offer is leveraged because it is simple, it's repeatable, and it's packaged in a way where I can get a big return on my investment of time and energy. So, in other words, a not leveraged offer would be a totally reactionary, someone asking you for something and just doing something custom completely for them. That is low leverage because you are going to get paid just for what they have budgeted for that service. And it's low leverage because it's not repeatable and it's completely customized to them. So your hours in is going to be just a direct, you're just going to get paid for those hours, and it's going to be the bare minimum of what you two can negotiate against each other. Okay? So I'm going to use an analogy to explain how I think about leveraged offers, and then I'm going to get really specific with one component so that you have a takeaway today to start using. And I have been explaining this and coaching these clients through this as recently as right before I hit record. So it's fresh on my mind. I'll use this book. This is not my personal copy of Harry Potter, but we can call this the Harry Potter technique, if you will, because it works like magic. I think about offers a bit like a book series. So with Harry Potter, for instance, we have a primary hero, a character who is going on a big journey of self-actualization, a big journey of transformation. He's going from forgotten orphan to savior of the wizarding world. That's a big transformation. This is high leverage to have a big transformation, a series level offer in your business, in the same way that if there was a movie that came out that said, hey, here's a movie about a wizard child who goes to defeat a dragon or something like okay, maybe I'll see that movie. But if I say, hey, there's a new Harry Potter movie that's coming out, it will automatically do way bigger numbers in the box office. This is why there are like 14 Fast and Furious movies. If there was just a movie of, hey, here's some guys that are going to drive fast cars, maybe you'd get people to the theater. But movie studios know we have way higher leverage if we put it within a series, this series that we know people connect with. And so I think about offers first as what is the series level of my offer? And L comes after F, which is favorite client. And so it's going to be hard to define what that is if you don't know who your favorite client is. If you don't know who your favorite client is, just ask, hey, who is my favorite client ever? And make this offer about them. That's the short version. Maybe I'll do a podcast episode diving deep into that as well. But assuming you know who your favorite client is, who your ideal client is, if you want to think of it that way, what is the big transformational journey that they are on, and why do you care about it? Right? So you may have many different, that client, your favorite client, maybe he has a few different transformations that are going on in their life, but there's one aspect of their bigger transformation that you care about. Why do you care about it? Maybe it's because you went through that same transformation, or maybe it's because philosophically you think that they are being held back unjustly by whatever the thing is, right? So I have Apple on my mind because they just did their developer conference yesterday, and I was thinking about Apple yesterday. Their series level philosophy is that technology, and this is, at least this is what it was at the early goings of Apple, I think it still carries through, but it's basically technology should be people friendly. You know, people shouldn't have to conform to technology. Our technology should conform to people, to humans. And so Apple's ethos is every step of the way, every new phase of technology is, well, how do we make the phone more people friendly? You know, the computer, how can we make a personal computer? So that is why they care. Think about your business. Think about your favorite client. Why do you care about their transformation? So that's the series level. The series level transformation, underneath that, just like in Harry Potter, we have different books. Book 7, I mean, let me know a better juvenile fiction fantasy novel. I was going to say name a better book. I'm like, okay, we'll get people be like, the Bible. Okay. But seriously, book 7, I mean, amazing. But I digress. So you have a book level. And for the sake of this metaphor, how I think about a book level when it comes to your offer is the program. So if you were to ask a question to unlock what this is, you'd basically be asking, what are the primary milestones or sub transformations that my favorite client goes on, or goes through rather, to achieve this bigger transformation? So for Harry Potter, the first book is Chamber of Secrets. And he is basically, in that one book, he's not becoming savior of the wizarding world fully, right? But he's going through this process of understanding, okay, who am I? Who's the big bad guy? And can I defeat him somehow from this one issue? And I won't spoil Chamber of Secrets. It's a brand new book. Maybe you haven't heard of it. But he does. You know, and so it cues us up where that book is actually great in and of itself. If there was never a book after it, that'd be fine. However, it really sets us up for the following book. And this is where it gets cool, because you probably have a bunch of different offers and you're like, well, Blake, not every client's just like my favorite client. True, but you can pick a favorite client and think through their larger journey and larger transformation and have program level offers for those sub transformations that they go on. And this is a wonderful way to also get recurring revenue. So instead of going, oh yeah, I'm just a consultant and they pay me a retainer every month and maybe I do some design work, or maybe I do some copywriting, or maybe they pay me a retainer for coaching. But as soon as their budget changes, their personal development budget changes, guess who's going to get cut? You are. If, however, you can structure your coaching, your consulting, not around what the going rate is to keep you on retainer, but, well, what's the next book, so to speak? What's the next sub transformation that the hero is going through? So if you were helping, like one of my clients is a leadership coach, and the first book, she has a background in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and a lot of leadership training and things of that nature. And so her favorite client might say, hey, I'm really wanting my executive team to be in sync and on the same page. There's a little bit of infighting and that sort of thing. Okay, so book 1 could be the in sync executive team program, right? Well, what happens once your executive team is in sync? Well, now we need to get the rest of the company culture to elevate, right? I'm just making this up, by the way, but the question then becomes asking your favorite client, hey, well, what's the next challenge? And then you make that next program. And once you do that with your favorite client, pretty soon you've got a few books in the series, so to speak. So when another client comes, you know, yes, I can work with you and I have the book for you. Maybe you're at the beginning of the journey, maybe you're more in the middle of this bigger transformation, but I've got something for you. And you maintain your authority, you maintain a frame that's higher than just a order taker type of a frame that a lot of consultants fall into. Okay? That's the book level. That's the question you're going to ask is, what are the primary milestones or sub-transformations that they go through on the journey? Then we've got chapters in the book, right? The chapters are, you could think of them as the pillar of a program, like the pillars. Oh, we've got step 1, pillar 1, phase 2, phase 3, that sort of thing. But this is where a lot of consultants go wrong. Now, I used an example on social media of a client who is a fractional chief operating officer. And so her clients have these issues within operations on their team, and they're visionary people that struggle with the implementation and the systemization of their business. And she helps them. And she was wanting me to look over her offer of this program that she had, and it has these 5 phases. And I asked her, are you having any issues with clients being excited to do phase 1 or do phase 2 or do phase 3? She's like, yeah, there's actually, it's kind of frustrating because like they don't really see the value of that, or they think they've already done this or that. And so then they just start asking to skip to step 3 or to move forward and all of that stuff. And maybe you feel like your clients sometimes push on your boundaries or resist your process. They're not buying in. The lack of buy-in often happens at this chapter level because maybe you've been able to articulate the outcome that they're going to get through your program or through the 6-month engagement or whatever it is. There's a specific project they hired you for, right? Hey, give us a new logo, like rebrand us or whatever it is. Okay, great. So that's implied. That's the big solution. But then they resist you as you're going through the process. And that can be really frustrating. It can be costly. It can drain your time. And pretty soon your profitability from that project or that client is going down, and you're frustrated and you're annoyed. So here's what I told my client to do and how to think about it, and what I'm going to tell you about this chapter level. So the chapter level, as you'd expect, right? A book is comprised of chapters, just like your program is comprised of probably pillars or phases that a client's going to go through. But here's the key to getting some buy-in, and there's a sneaky bonus that's going to help you make some more money from clients that maybe you don't want to work as closely with. Okay, so here is what it is. And as I'm saying this, this is a live podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I have a guest coming down the stairs who sounds very distressed. So I will see if I get a knock on the door or not. Let's hold. All right, let's hope that mute button on the mic worked for that. This is what it's about, friends, is I value helping you, but I value being here when those moments happen. I want my daughter to know that it's really important that I have a chance to help other mommies and daddies get what they want, because that helps the world, that helps create abundance, that helps us um, live the life that we want to live here. And it's also fun, and we can smile and we can laugh through it and do our best and all of that. But I also want her to know that my door is open, and that if she needs some help, or if she's having a cry and just needs dad's shoulder, I obviously can't always be around, but I figure the more I can be here consistently when she's 6, the better off she'll be when she's 16 and perhaps there's less of those moments, right? Or when she's 26 and so forth. So that's how I think about it. Um, I don't know, hopefully she was crying, so I don't know how much showed up on the actual live stream. If you're listening to the podcast version, I will have trimmed that out a little bit for you there. But let's get back to the topic at hand. We were talking about chapters, talking about how to package these, and I left you on a cliffhanger, I believe. So, how I want you to think about your phases, as I'll give you the same feedback that I gave this client, this fractional COO, and that is that each milestone, it's really helpful for you and your team to understand what are the specific steps that the client has to go through. What are the specific milestones or phases of our process to get them that result? You having clarity on that is paramount. So don't hear what I'm not saying. Yes, you need to know what are the phases, what do we actually got to do. But remember that the client doesn't care about your phases. They care about solving their problems. Even if they really, really like you, ideally, they would have 0 phases and the problem would already be solved. So you are going to get pushback if they perceive, or if there is a mental disconnect between the phase that they're in and a problem being solved. So what I would recommend to you, what I recommend to my clients and everybody else in Good Life Accelerator, is to, for each chapter, each milestone in the program, in the book, to make sure that you understand and write out what is the main problem that's being solved in that phase, or once they hit that milestone, this problem's being solved. Write that down and then retitle that phase with that problem as the title or the solution as the title. So, for example, with this fractional COO client, I think the first phase was a series of meetings essentially to get the genius or the thought process out of her client's head. And the purpose of that was she needed to know, okay, your team isn't doing what you want them to do. We need to know what you want them to do and get that documented. Well, for her client, that sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like an inconvenience. It sounds difficult. It doesn't sound very fun. Pause. It was snack time in the office with my co-host Felicity. You can wave at the screen if you want to, darling. There she is. All right. So for this fractional COO client, what I told her was, or what I asked her the same question is, well, what problem is being solved by them getting this out of their head? She's like, well, we need to know what they want so that we can tell their team. Okay. And once you're able to tell the team accurately what they want, what happens? What pain points does your client have that go away? She said, well, they don't have to repeat themselves all the time. They hate that. And I say, great. Let's start there. That's a good idea. This phase is not the strategic meeting phase or have us ask you a bunch of questions phase, or she had titled it something better than that, but still. But this phase is the say it once phase. I don't remember what I said, but some clever name essentially about, hey, phase 1 is we want you to free up 10 hours of your week because you won't have to repeat yourself anymore. How's that sound for phase 1? Well, the client's going to be bought in because they've told you, I care about solving this problem. And so for each phase of the project, we want to ask ourselves, what problem is being solved? And you may have to ask a couple questions or go downstream a little bit to understand what pain is really being solved here. I can tell you want me, darling. Can you come over here, please? Because
What's this thing I did? I can
Felicity, if you're going to do a trick, you need to do it on the podcast so that the people can see. It can be an entertaining podcast that way.
Okay.
But I won't be able to talk about it because I got to talk to them. They're all watching and listening. So you can do some entertainment or you can finish your mango snack, okay?
Okay.
Sounds great. So that's my big takeaway for you is for each of the phases of your program or your offering, ask yourself what's being solved here, what pain is going away once we complete this milestone. And then when you are talking to your client about it, do not say, we got to do this phase and we're going to do this and we're going to do this. No, frame it as this problem. First, we got to solve this problem so this pain goes away. Then we'll solve this problem so that pain goes away. And then we'll solve this problem so that pain goes away. And that leads us to this big issue, this big problem you wanted us to solve, or this big goal you wanted to hit with our help. You're going to get there, no problem. Now you've got people bought into every phase of your process and they start attributing strategic insight to you. So they will stop seeing you so much as an order taker that they have to deal with or go through some process, right? And they'll start seeing you as a strategic leader. Okay, so the bonus I was going to share of setting up your programs or your book level offers this way, the bonus I was going to share with you is that when you structure your milestones that way, you can actually productize those and sell those individually. That is actually a great way to build trust with a colder prospect that you know would be a great fit. So instead of offering your prospects, hey, work for free or make this big guarantee that's hard to deliver on, you could just say, hey, well, the first part of our process, we solve this problem. So if you want, you could just buy this at this lower rate. And if you want to continue, we'll solve the next problem. That's one way to do it. Or you could fully productize it and sell it to clients that you can't, maybe you don't have the time to deliver. Maybe they're not the most perfect fit. You just don't super jive with them. Or maybe they're out of range financially for some reason. And you can just sell a productized version of it. It could just be a series of Loom videos and worksheets. Whatever you do with that client, you just replicate in a productized way. So that's my big tip. If you're watching live or watching the YouTube and you're seeing the dynamics of this video, I hope you can relate to it, my friends. And I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm actually going to do one last thing. I'm going to do a workshop on this next week for my clients. If you want info about that, I'll probably give some access away to that, maybe in ticketed form. That's what I typically do with these workshops. So if you're interested in going, deeper on leveraged offers and learning to package what you do in a way that is in alignment, so you don't have a ton of different complexity offers, you actually have just chapters within a book, within a larger series, then come to the workshop and we'll actually help you design it. Okay? So let me know. You can DM me on Instagram or something if you want. I got to sign off now, Felicity. Do you want to say anything? No, she doesn't want to say anything yet. What? What? You do? What are you going to say? Okay, well, it can't be outlandish. Or maybe it should be outlandish. We'll go viral. What are you going to say? What? Oh, all right. All right. Should we sing a farewell song? No. Okay. Well, I got to sign off now. Okay, go ahead.
Bye.
Oh, very well said, darling. All right. Thanks for listening to the podcast or watching if you're watching on YouTube. This is real life. This is what I consider the good life right here. Talking about what we love to talk about, helping people we love to serve, and doing it in an integrated way with the cutest people on earth. See you next time, y'all.